Mrs. Foyibos. So good to have you here. Thank you. Thank you
Thank you
for
so
having us.
much. Thank you,
It's
Esther.
amazing to actually finally sit with you. And I know that there's so much you want to share, and I also am eager to listen to you. But I want you to do a brief introduction about yourself individually, then we will go into your story. So,
Okay.
over to you.
Okay, so my name is Comfort Foyibo, and I'm married to
Are you sure?
I'm married to Benjamin Foyibo. He's going to introduce himself later. All right, so I call myself the woman of worth because I am a woman of worth. So I'm a mom, a wife, and I'm basically passionate about empowering women, inspiring women, and just mentoring them, helping them become better. Because I was able to kind of like impact other young ladies around me from my own journey. At work, I'm a community building consultant. I help organizations and brands build communities, literally, nurture their tribe, right? And then I'm also the founder of the Woman of Work Network. So
It's so nice to finally have you here.
thank you so much.
So, Mr. Ben.
Okay, so my name is Okemute Benjamin Foyibo, popularly known as Uncle Ben. I'm married to this amazing woman here. I'm a husband, a father. Um, I have over 14 years experience in building board reporting structures, strategy, corporate governance for companies. Um, I also am into IT. In my span of experience, I've delved into IT audit. But currently, I have this, I think I will call myself an enthusiast of corporate culture and alcoration. So that's me.
Thank you so much. That was
Thank
a
you.
lovely introduction. I couldn't have done it for you because
Thank
I
you.
don't even know that far about your life. But so, I want you to bring us into your story. I want you to share your personal story and your journey to healing. Because a lot of people just see us, they see the smiles, they actually don't know the story. And who better than the person in the story to tell the story? So I'd like you to share your story with us.
All right. So I feel like everybody we are a product of our stories, right? Because as you go through life, to grow older, there's always an experience, right? So it's either it's teaching you something, it's molding you into becoming, who you later become in life. So for me, I feel like my life has actually been, stages of stories.
Yeah.
And literally right from when I was actually born, anyways. Yeah, so I think maybe let me just backtrack a little bit, right? Like I said, right from when I was born, I've just had that stages of stories, And I remember when I was, I think I was still very young, about maybe 3 to 5 years or so. I know there's a picture of me while I was in the hospital bed, right? And I actually used to think I had an accident, right? So even while I was in secondary school, I used to tell people that, oh, because I have a beautiful way I walk, So I used to tell people, oh, I had an accident when I was little until I think my mom sat me down. I was like, no, you never had an accident. I'm like, are you serious? I've always thought it was an accident, and I was told that I was born that way. So yeah, I had this my pelvis bone wasn't well seated. There are so many medical jargons to it and all that. But that's how I was born, right? I had to undergo a surgery just to try to correct it, but it didn't, work out. So I just continue like that. So and that's how I've always been, right from birth up until secondary school, and then my university days. And then when I was done with my university, I was going for NYC. I had an accident this time around, and I think for me that is one experience that has, even though it's kind of like I had to like backtrack to say, okay, I had a working thing from birth and all that. That's one experience that's kind of like, should I say, shaped my life, beyond that time. So before that year when I had the accident, I think a year before then, my dad passed on,
Yeah.
right? And it was such a traumatic experience for every one of us because we went on one. He was young. He was in his 50s.
Yeah.
He wasn't up to 60 then, and it was a very. It wasn't. We're not expecting it, and the series of how it happened. I think it was not. I think it was actually what do you call this? Attempted, or it's like
He was murdered.
it was murdered.
Yes.
Yeah. So but there's we assume that he wasn't supposed to be the person, so it was a misidentity of some sort, so that kind of like just at that point in time I was about done with university, and kind of like just made me reflect on a lot of things. I'm the first daughter, so like this is a big show I have to fill, and so a year after, right, I had this accident while on my way to NYC. So there was the whole they couldn't take your dad, and now they're coming for the child, what's going on and all that. And it was quite it was bad. I had my spinal cord, I had like a partial spinal cord injury.
Backbone shifted.
Yeah, so I had to be bedridden. I had to stay on bed for about 3 months, just lying on bed. I'm not able to move. I'm not able to do anything, because that was one of the ways for them to correct it. Me lying down on my back. So it wasn't. I didn't have to go through surgery, but that was a corrective measure for them to do that. And I think it was even in the hospital, because they had to do like series of X-rays and scans and all of that. And then that was the first time I was actually seeing my pelvic bone, because of course then I was old enough and all that. And I remember the doctor saying, is this the accident that caused this? And they were trying to understand from the other, because I was referred to, so where it happened, they took me to a hospital, they did some tests, and X-rays, then they had to refer me back to my home and all that. So I had to redo them again. So by the time the results of the X-rays came out, they were like, is this her? Like, is this how pelvic is exactly? So that was the very first time I was actually seeing my pelvic bone, to really understand the story my mom told me, when I was much younger, and the reason why I walk the way I walk, So I was like, and I was like, yeah, that's what we saw, and this is how she has always been. I was like, this person has been walking. That's what the doctor said. Like, are you sure this person was walking? Like, yeah, she's always walked. She's walked all her life, But that was for me. That was like a moment for me to understand God's goodness in my life, really, because exactly a defining moment for me, because like seeing it with my eyes and really being able to understand that, wow, so this is something. It just showed that it was God. But from there on, my healing process, because it began because of the partial spinal cord injury that I had. And I think I had the support of my friends, my family first of all, and then even friends who came around as well. I think it was, as at that time I wasn't married yet, but my husband we're courting, we're preparing for our wedding and all that when that happened. So it was in Benin, I was in UBTH, and he was in Lagos, he was working in Lagos, and he would literally come every weekend, travel from Lagos to Benin to come see me in the hospital.
That was when transport was still cheap.
And then he would go back. So he comes on Fridays, because he's working, he comes on Fridays, stays through the weekend, and on Sunday he's back to Lagos.
Sometimes Monday morning.
Yeah, sometimes Monday morning, and it was just a whole lot at that point in time. But I think for me, where I would say, how I would say this, that experience kind of like affected my life, or through the years. This happened in 2011 or 12.
I think so. 12.
Yeah, 2012. Yeah, 2012. Exactly. That's when this happened.
Yeah.
And this is like how many years ago? I still have
12 years.
Yeah, I still have
PTSD.
PTSD. Yeah, because every time I'm in the car, or I'm maybe on a trip, or I'm anywhere, just on the road, the vehicle, I still have that fear.
It's actually normal.
Yeah.
Because I'm someone that actually have been through PTSD. I actually went through that journey for like 12 years too, and I know what it feels like. For everything that happens, there's a reminder of such incidents.
Yes.
Like any little thing, you see somebody with an injury, it triggers that memory. You begin to relive those experiences, and it is valid because you actually had that experience. So when people try to trivialize it and downplay your pain, they actually don't know what you've been through. Because just listening to your story, first you didn't have an accident. You had to go through what you went through. Then you had the accident. You know, if I were to be in your shoes, the first question I would be asking is, why am I the only one? Why? You know,
I know,
and
right?
we begin to question God's integrity because of what we've been through. But that was really inspiring. That was deep. You are really a woman of war. You want the strength God gave you. He said He will not give us beyond what we can handle. I really hope that. So Uncle Ben, so Mr. Ben, what's been your story?
Uncle Ben is fine, don't worry.
I used to call you that. So
Yes.
It's actually
Okay, so for me, it's an illness actually, triggered mine. That was during COVID. I had a change of job, and it was out of Lagos. So at some point in time, I even had to rent an accommodation so that I'll go during the week and then come back to my family during the weekend. And that was when I was diagnosed with high blood pressure. Or do they call it? I think they call it hypertension.
Yeah.
So it was strange to me because all through, like, I worked in a conglomerate company for like 14 years before I moved to this new company. So it was every time I go for checkup, we had an in-house clinic. My BP used to be like the best. According to the medical personnel, they would be like, I'm the one that has the best blood pressure in the head office. So I've always known to have a very good blood pressure. So this coming up was new to me. So I was like, at first I didn't believe it. And when they gave me drugs, I didn't take, because I also knew that once you start it, you can't stop, in quote. Exactly. So I just ignored it until I started working in this new company, and it became an issue. So I just noticed that my body would just be reacting in certain ways, just to show that there are some things that are not right. So when I went for treatment, they gave me drug. They told me it was high blood pressure again, and said this time you have to take drugs, and at least just to normalize it. So I did. I was on drugs for a while. But after like a month or two, I started noticing other symptoms. So that was when I started being short of breath. I started having dizzy spells. In fact, there was one that happened that was so scary. It was in the morning. I was in my apartment where I work, and I live alone there. So all of a sudden, I think I finished breakfast, and then I was about saying, okay, let me go and take my bath and then get to work, when I just felt as if I was fainting. And the funny thing was that when it comes like that, the thought that comes is, it is time. Like, the time has come. Come and go. You understand? So and it just triggers this kind of fear. So that period, in fact, okay, let me just finish that story. So it was so bad and so real that I had to first and foremost quickly unlock my front door.
So should in case.
See, exactly. Someone can open. Then I went to, because I was just wearing some clothes, so I went to pick more shirts and everything. As I was wearing outside, I was going outside so that at least I can fall down outside and then people will see me easily. It was that bad and it was that real. And I remember calling my general manager as I was doing all those, right? And I was like, I'm dying. And when I stepped out, it was as if the whole world just turned upside down. Like I could literally feel as if I was not standing. So, when I felt that calmness, right, I was able to put myself together. My GM had already sent someone to come and pick me up to the hospital. When there, everything was fine. But that triggered like series of episodes, panic attacks, pulse rate issues, to the point that there was a time I was rushed to the hospital around 1 a.m. And like I couldn't breathe. There was nothing, there was nothing. Like I just felt that my lungs were blocked. And my neighbor had to rush me to the hospital 1 a.m. in the night. It took the doctors about almost 2 hours to stabilize me. And within those 2 hours, I called my wife just to hear her voice for the last time. She's here, so you can imagine receiving a call by that time of the night and say, I'm going, because it was so real. When they checked my pulse rate, that's my pulse, the rate was 150. The normal human, the maximum for a man is about 100, maybe 110, but usually 100. Mine was beating 150. My heart was as if it wanted to burst forth and come out. So it was that bad. It took them about almost 2 hours to stabilize me. So from that time, it was one series of episodes to the other. And then I had to get another opinion, professional opinion. So I was introduced to a cardiologist. He's one of the best in Nigeria. As at that time, I didn't know. But, and he took me up and he was very patient with me. And after, in fact, there was a time I was admitted. There was a time, it was so bad at some point that they were rushing me to the hospital every day. Like, when I would check my blood pressure, my pulse rate, it was moving within seconds. Like, I'll check it now, it will be 120. After like 15 seconds, it's going up to 130. After like 15 seconds, it's going up to 1. And I'll just be shouting, take me to the hospital. And then, so it was like every day until the doctor said, admit this guy. I want to do a thorough work on him. So when I was admitted, he took his time and he discovered that it was a component of the drug I got from the first doctor that was actually triggering those panic attacks, the palpitations and all that. So he had to discontinue that drug. We reintroduced another drug. Since then, I've not had that kind of issue. But even though it comes like once in a while, you just feel that anxiety and that panic. He also went through, certain things that I need to do. But it was a very, very trying time for me. It was also very trying for my family and trying for my work. Thank God I have an understanding boss and my company. So you remember I said I had a job change. So I had not even been confirmed and I'm having this kind of health issues. For the whole of October 2020, I was not at work. And that was the month that they were supposed to confirm me. So I was in the hospital bed while they were confirming me at work. So I would say that I had support, great deal, from my company, from my family, from my wife. It wasn't easy having to feel that your husband is about going. You understand? See how beautiful she is. Yeah. So as in how can I be a widow at this? I don't know if you get. So, but I had friends too who stood by me, and all this put together, right, it's making me still be here by this time.
Like I really cannot overemphasize the need for support for people going through this.
Yes, it's crucial.
We trivialize it a lot. A talk can do
Yes,
so much.
exactly.
Just hearing you be okay. Just that word of affirmation or that assurance from
Yes.
somebody else. Not like you don't know, but sometimes you just need to hear that external voice to comfort you.
Of
just
course.
make you know that all will be well. Yes, it's something that people need to actually be there for each other.
Yes.
And I'm grateful to God that you have each other to support each other. She made reference to how you showed up for her one time. You're making reference to how she was there, and it's so encouraging. And I'm so glad I actually have you both together.
There was a particular time when she was in the hospital that when I saw her for the first time, the scars were still there and everything, and her eyes were still bloodshot. She didn't describe that accident very well. The bus somersaulted, right? And we want to actually believe that in the process of somersaulting, that was when she was flung out the window. And I'm sure the bus actually pressed her at that particular point in time, because she was the only one that had that major injury, that her backbone shifted. So it was really severe. And I could see her, when I saw her on the sick bed, I could see she was scared. Not just scared for her life, but also scared that, will this guy want... Well, We just
We
did
just
our
had
introduction.
actually.
So like,
Yeah.
she was just like scared that is this. I just told her, calm down. It's not going to be like that. But even if I had to push you in a wheelchair to the altar, we'll do that. Just calm down. And we had different temptations, people coming to tell us, maybe this is a sign. I'm telling you, I remember a colleague in the office saying, maybe this is a sign that God is trying to show you that she's not the one for you. And I remember asking her one question that she could not answer. I said, okay, what if it was 2 weeks after I got married? So does that mean that I will now need to divorce her? Or what? I don't understand. But we thank God for everything.
Thank you for being a kind-hearted person.
It's God. It's all God.
As much as it's all good,
Yeah.
our characters actually play out in this.
Yes. Yes.
I want to ask you, ma'am, how did you feel, or yes, that's the question. How did you feel when you realized that you had this car? Yes, you already knew growing up, okay, this was it. Then when the accident happened, you had scars now, more scars to add to what was already in.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that? Because I remember the first time I saw the mirror. I didn't have papers, I didn't have anything, and I saw the mirror with scars.
You discuss
across
it.
my head. In fact, that was literally the end of the identity I had. So when I now go out, I always do a flashback. When I go out and I see people with heavier scars. In fact, my friend that was
Yes. As in, like, you wonder.
what was going through my mind that I was feeling like everything had ended, because how many is the scar that is not?
Yes.
So how did you feel? How did you go through? Did you even have anybody to talk to during this period?
Well, I think I would say, first of all, just even realizing that I I was in an accident was scary. Like you said, when you came to the hospital, that's you could still tell that I was scared, because in my head I'm thinking, I'm going to walk again. Am I going to be bedridden for life? And you know how it is that I remember one time there was when I was in school, when I was still in school, there's a friend of mine. We became friends because he could relate to my story. He said his sister had something like that, and hers was really, like I said, I worked beautifully well, but hers was really very, very special. So obvious. And so when I shared with him, oh, this is what happened. I didn't have an accident. It was from birth, and we were like, oh, that his sister is, has something like this. So we became friends and very close. I met his sister and all that. So there was that fear, like, am I going to not be able to walk well, or have to be bedridden, or use so there were lots of things that were just negative, things that were just flying through my head and all that. But I felt scared. I think that would be the word. I actually felt very scared. And the fact that it's fine, I'm in a hospital, and so I was in the what's called this word?
Neurosurgery surgery ward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was seeing cases that were worse than mine, and I'm like, is this how my own is going to be? People come to the ward and then after some weeks they are living with wheelchair, and you are hearing that, oh, maybe in fact I'll still be there. They come for what do you call it, checkup or something like that, and they are still not. And I'm like, so is this how I'm going to actually now be at the end of the day, that I'm not able to? So that fear was there. I was scared. I was
There was this suspense,
yes,
really,
not
like
being sure.
not being sure if you walk.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
uncertainty, and then I just, like I said, I just lost my dad, so it was just a lot on my mind at that time.
Yeah.
Yes, just
That level of trauma was deep.
It was actually, it was.
I remember when she left the hospital, right? She had to learn how to walk again.
Yeah.
So all the muscles on her leg vanished. You could just see like bone
They were
covered
very
with skin.
weak,
They were very weak. So from maybe a space of like 2 feet, she would probably use close to 30 minutes to walk it. So it was a try. So she had to build the muscles again and all that. It was very interesting.
Trying to use the line on
Yes, trying to walk on a straight line. Yeah,
So
it was.
I remember one day, I'm so sure of this. So that very day, I was still learning how to walk, and I was walking through, maybe like just trying to go from one part of the living room to the other. My brother was walking past. So you know how it is that you didn't just notice that someone was. The the way I screamed at him. My mom was like, why he didn't know that you were? I'm like, did you see me? Like, because the fear was just that, what if he pushed me and I fell and then that makes it worse than her? So there was just that fear. So any sound, any loud or any, it just
Triggered
me,
it.
you know, and all that. As simple as that, you know. So that fear was just there for a long time, you know. But I think with family support, you know, friends, and just being able to um, get the right support, you know.
So if I may ask, did you have something that helped you, like a coping mechanism, or for someone like me, I was easy because I was art inclined, or should I say creatively inclined?
Yeah.
I was into architecture before, then I love pictures, and so that was my therapy. It was because you naturally, when you're traumatized, you isolate. So because I had become an introvert, I didn't want people to look at me because of this guy. So I went into things that would keep me away from people and just keep myself happy, rather than turning to vices like alcohol and the like.
Yeah.
It was photography.
Keeping you engaged.
Yes, it kept me engaged. So I didn't even need to really interact.
Yeah.
So, but how did you deal with that?
Well, I would say that I've always loved to write, right? So I used to love writing. In fact, then when we're dating, I used to write.
She used to say it
I
properly.
used to write.
She no longer writes again.
Love songs.
Those days I had a book of poems, my name all over it. Nowadays nothing. I'm kidding, Sha.
So I used to. So it was something I now kind of like just had to do more of. You know, just write journal and then just spend time with. I'm a bit of an introvert, but I'm also an extrovert. So I'm in between. You know, a bit here and there. So I kind of like still had, because couldn't go anywhere. So it was just time for me to just be by myself, learn more about myself. So I think that journey helped me just getting to write, you know, because I love to write. I love journaling, just writing about maybe my day to day or what I feel at the moment, or even having conversations with God and all that, you know. So I did that a lot at that time, and then having to also meditate sometimes. So I love. So when I was in the hospital, right, he got me a laptop. I think that was my very first laptop. Very small kid laptop, red. I still remember the color. You know, and all I did with that laptop at that time was just listen to music.
You remember the password of the laptop?
Yes, the password was "Will you marry me?"
That's so good.
Yeah, so that was the password of the laptop. Yeah, so I just listened. In fact, that was more like my music, you know,
music
therapy. So I listened to lots of music. So even after I left the hospital and I was healing, so that was just want to listen to calm music, Christian songs that would just inspire me and just help me to know that this is just a phase. You know, God is taking me through this. I'll definitely come out of it and all that. So I think those were two major things that really helped me as like coping mechanism, as alongside, you know, getting support from my physiotherapist as well.
So, concerning the laptop, right? I had to, because my wife is very expressive. She's the outgoing type. I'm the inside of the bedroom type, like just quiet. I'm more of an introvert, really. So I had to look at someone who is so expressive, who is outgoing, being on the bed for a long time, indefinite. We didn't even know it was going to be 3 months. So indefinite. So I was like, okay, I think I need to get her something that will keep her engaged. And I loaded the laptop with movies. I went to a friend of mine that has movies and songs. So loaded it with movies and songs so that at least while she's on the bed, she can be watching it and be playing music to help her through that period.
It's very interesting. So, you mentioned music, you mentioned writing, you're someone who loves to write. I believe now that you have a better understanding that it was therapeutic for you, would you encourage people to actually look into it? Because I don't know, maybe subconsciously you didn't know that it was therapeutic.
No. I just wanted to make her not go into depression. Yes.
Yeah. But that was actually how do I put it? That was actually a form of therapy.
Yes.
And it's something that maybe because people are not so aware about it, they don't know how to help people going through these situations. So how would you encourage people to look into this non-pharmacological interventions for therapy?
Yeah, so I think for me, I would actually say that first off, maybe just take it one step at a time, right? So healing is a journey, it's a progressive journey, and it's continuous, right? It doesn't just happen all at once.
Yeah.
So take one step at a time. Give yourself grace, you know. So if having to, aside the medical aspect, which is very important, seek professional help, your medical and all of that, it's very very important. But beyond that, maybe all by yourself, how you can also cope and heal. Try as much as possible to do stuff like you mentioned. For you, it was photography, it was arts and all that. So just find what it is that kind of like calms you down and helps you, that could help you go through the process. It could even be, being a part of a support system, maybe like a community, because at the end of the day, we can't do life alone, right?
Yeah.
So having to join a community, learn from other people, learn from their stories as well, and how they were able to heal, that would also help, for people.
Thank you so much. Like listening to your story, I know that your story didn't just inspire me. Anybody that is actually going to listen to your story, I know that it's going to be a game changer for them because yes, you listen to some certain stuff, be like, oh yes, you are strong. But man, you are strong. That is the word. You're really strong because I remember the scenes of the accident, not my accident now because I don't want to personalize.
Yeah.
I remember the scenes of the accident and I know how it took me 12 years. It was literally a friend's wedding that actually changed everything because the day of his wedding happened to be, I think, the 12th or the 13th year I survived. So he telling me to get on that table, I said I was not going because I didn't want, in my head, accidents can happen now. They die again because he died, I did that last time. I cannot die now. So, that fear. But thank God I had the right type of friend. He was a godly friend. And the first thing he did was to encourage me to shun the negative confession I had and encourage me that for his wedding, I will be there and I cannot die. I should not worry. He will make the arrangement. And he made the arrangement. I got to Ibadan safely. And on the day of the wedding, I didn't even remember that was the day of the accident.
Nice.
We were so engrossed with the joy.
I remember.
And that's the essence of community. The fact that I was in the right environment, we were so joyful. And since that time, I think that was in 2021 or 2022.
Yeah.
Since that time, actually, I've not really, because actually, for every time October 29 was coming, I relieved experiences. It got to a state that a friend once, an older friend once mentioned that I should stop creating a ritual around it. Yes, I know he was trying to help me.
Yes.
But to me, it was insensitive at that point because I felt like, do you know what I'm going through?
Yeah.
But I know he was trying to pull me out of that victim mentality.
Yeah.
But having the right support changed things.
It's very, very important.
The right person beside you telling me, no, you can do this, you can do that. And so it even helped further my skills in photography. And so I'm really grateful that you got to share your story.
You said something about just now when we were talking about your friend being insensitive, right? And now I'm trying to address the issue of support. Right? And if one is not careful, right, really we will become insensitive. It got to a point in time that I was insensitive to her PTSD. I didn't know she had PTSD. So, and it became annoying. I'm driving. You are trying to control my driving from it didn't make sense to me. Like there were times that we literally had fights as a result of it. I'm driving normal speed, like below 100. Below 100, like that's slow. And you're already holding the door and holding everything. I'm like, babe, calm down. She understand. But it took me a while to also understand that this was PTSD showing up in this way. And then it took a while too before I could now say, okay, how do I respond? So sometimes when I could see her from my view of my vision, I could see that she's, I'll just put my hand on her lap or hold her hand. I'll say, calm down, calm down. You understand? And all that. So when we support people who have these things, right, it's not a disease. Is just be understanding. And there's a word that comes very easy for me, empathy. If you try as much as possible to build a whole lot of it, because those people need it, try and look at it from their own angle. You may not even understand it, you may not see it, but just be there for them. Sometimes it's silence that is needed. but just be there for. Let them know that you are there. That's it.
Thank you so much. Like, I can't oversay that. God bless you, because I really want to say that many times as I can. I'm really grateful to have you here. I'm grateful to have the privilege to listen to your story firsthand, and I have so much more respect for you than I actually had. Yes, I had the respect for you, like, but I have so much more, because this was actually so amazing to listen to. And I pray that God continues to strengthen you. Woman of God is just started. Regardless of what you say, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I know that God is going to use you to support women globally.
Amen.
Not just here, but you would see beyond, because you've moved from that point of needing support to supporting others.
Yes.
And I see God taking you beyond where you can even imagine. So
Amen.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's amazing to have you in the
Thank you. Thank you so much.